Hello, Internet, online community. Welcome to episode 2 of Counterculture. I've been trying to think of a name for the online community. Keep brainstorming because right now it just didn't feel like "What's up, culture vultures" was going to be the ticket. But something in the vein of what Philip DeFranco has with his Beautiful Bastards, or how Taylor Swift has her Swifties, or Gaga has the Little Monsters, just something to kind of grow the channel and kind of connect us all. If you want to contribute to that, you can always leave a comment below. And while you're there, you can also like and subscribe to the channel, which would be really cool. Again, we're just trying to grow the channel here, trying some new stuff. If you're seeing us here on YouTube, you can already see I have some vinyl laid out in front of me. And if you're just tuning in, listening, today's episode, we're going to be doing a vinyl review, an album review of these 5 albums in front of me. We also have some really cool announcements. I got a lot of great feedback from last week's video, episode 1. Talked to some sponsors, so be on the lookout for that. We booked our first guest, and he's going to be coming in tomorrow to film, and he's a good friend of mine, local producer, local musician, really a local legend. Counterculture. We're talking counterculture. Counterculture. From my kitchen counter. Counterculture. Speaking culture. Counterculture. From the counter. Yeah, got you there with the intro. Gotta stick around to the end to hear the news. Working on engagement on these long form content videos. Also looking into how I'm going to do short form videos in the future so that we can also move to TikTok and I think X and some other things. So we're trying to grow the channel and the community elsewhere. So be on the lookout for that. Anyway, we'll just jump into today's episode, reviewing these albums in front of me. So in 2024, so far, these are the albums I've listened to, sometimes doing them during my everyday tasks, which is something I didn't grow up doing. I think just being in the iPod shuffle generation. So I'm a millennial, not self-described, but it is what it is. But anyway, everyone in our generation, a lot of what we heard were singles, and just the radio was single heavy. So listening to albums in their entirety wasn't something I grew up doing a whole bunch and didn't really appreciate until my younger brother got me a record player for my birthday. It was in 2017 or maybe 2018. And I started my record collection. And there's a great record shop here in West Seattle called Easy Street Records. And if you haven't been there, it's just a local iconic record shop. And that's where I get all my vinyl. And so back to listening to these 5 in front of me. Today I'm going to be reviewing, I'll mention the ones that we all kind of recognize from the album, but then I kind of wanted to go over some that I felt, what they call sleepers, or some tracks that need maybe a glance for the listener who's only heard the singles. I've listed some sleepers for each of these albums, and then I'll also break down my favorite, maybe why I have a personal connection to the album, and that's going to be the format for today's episode. Nothing too serious. Again, stick around for the announcements at the end, but let's just start here with Tank and the Bangas, Green Balloon. This album I got because I saw Tank and the Bangas on NPR's Tiny Desk concert, and shout out to Tiny Desk. I believe I got an email from them this week saying that they are having their Tiny Desk contest. So if you're a musician, songwriter, you can enter into that contest. It's really cool. I might do it again this year. I've entered in the past. I think this counter may qualify as a desk. But anyway, back to Tank and the Bangas. I was watching them on YouTube, Tiny Desk concert. And if I'm remembering this correctly, it's a family band. So I believe the lead singer, and her and her brothers are in the band, and it's a really cool sound. I was in a lot of musical theater in high school, and I really like the theatrical elements of shows on it. I don't know, some of it's coming from Nevada maybe, and just the larger than life kind of Vegas and Reno entertainment. So I really like theatrical elements when I listen to music, especially if I can be transported almost in my mind to a theatrical experience. And if you haven't checked them out, you'll immediately know what I mean by this when you listen to the record. Really cool sonics. The musicianship on it's incredible. Like I said, it's very theatrical. There's a lot of sung words on it, and just beautiful melodies. And so yeah, let's get into some of the tracks that we might recognize. Spaceship, I believe, is the first track on the album, and that was one of their singles. But Smoke, Netflix, and Chill might have been the most recognizable. What I'm qualifying as ones that we all know, I went through Apple Music, and they kind of have these gray dots next to the tracks that I'm assuming have been streamed the most, and there's a threshold for them to get that dot. But anyway, those two were the most well-known on that album. But as far as a sleeper, there was Dope Girl Magic, Hot Air Balloons, and Lazy Days. Now, I'm not as familiar with this album as some of the others that I have up here. In terms of how many times I've listened to all these records is very different. What I really enjoyed about this record and finding those sleepers was I'm just going through my day. I believe I was folding laundry and cleaning my kitchen, and when I heard a song that came on that I didn't recognize, I was like, oh dang, this one, that's where I went to. I have it listed on my whiteboard here to my left, your right. And so this week I was going through, well, this whole month really, when I was listening to a new vinyl, and tried to be intentional about when a track hit me, write that one down so that I could have them as recommendations on this week's episode. So, and then as far as my favorite on this track, it's called Nice Things. You should get some nice things for me. A Gucci purse, Gucci wallet. It's just a really fun track. Yeah, go check out Tank and the Bangers, Green Balloon. They have more albums out there as well. And yeah, we're just going to segue right over to this album. I had this on my Insta story. We had someone guessed correctly what this album was because of the angle of the shot. It was kind of ambiguous what the album was. And we have Big Sean, Double or Nothing. Really fun album. And this is just for me and how I connect to hip hop, and everyone's relationship with it. It's very different. So this isn't in terms of what I think is better or worse. It's just in terms of what makes me feel nostalgic. I was born in 89, so most of the late 90s and early thousands, being in middle school and high school, that was the era of Tupac, Biggie, and then Wu-Tang, Petey Pablo. I'm just thinking of my school dances. It was Eminem, Snoop Dogg, and so that era has an emotional connection to me. So sometimes when I hear rap or hip hop from this era, that kind of makes me feel nostalgic back to those days, playing on the asphalt basketball courts. It kind of, this album in particular, brings those feels out. So the ones that I think were listed as the well-knowns were Go Legend and Pull Up. But these next three, there were so many on there, but these next three, if you haven't checked out, Who's Stopping Me, Big Business, and No Heart, No Love. Big Sean. I'm telling you, like this, it's just got all the boom bap. The flows are all just iconic, unique to him. And so if you're a millennial who's born in that late 80s, check out those tracks. Let me know in the comments what you think. And then my favorite track on this album is called So Good. And yeah, that is the track you send to your significant other or your partner. As a matter of fact, go listen to it. Send it to your partner or significant other and thank me later. Yeah, go check it out. Yeah, we'll just move on to this next vinyl we have in front. Just one of my favorite. It might be top 5 album of all time. I haven't really thought this out, so it just strikes me as that because the moment I heard it, I knew it was great. And this is in front of me. We got Janelle Monáe, Dirty Computer, and this was one of the first records I got. This must have been 2018 then. So when I had just gotten the record player, and yeah, I have really loved Janelle Monáe since 2008. She had the single Tightrope, which is also a really cool dance. And I think she had a write-up, an article in Vanity Fair, because I think Tina Fey was also in that. I was a sophomore at Belmont University. Anyway, this was like a really, everyone's in college and finding new music, and Janelle Monáe was someone I, again, kind of instantly knew, this is a good one. We got a talent here. So then later when she was featured on that Fun track, We Are Young, and became more of a household name, I was really excited. And when this record came out in 2018, it was an immediate buy for me. And it ended up getting nominated, I believe, for Album of the Year. And I can't remember if it won. I'm going to have to start doing research before I film my vlogcasts on the fly. But just an incredible album. And if you haven't checked it out, again, in the sense of like transporting you somewhere in your mind to a almost theatrical experience, this album is it's storytelling. It's just fantastic. I think, I'm thinking this out kind of in real time, but I would go out on a limb and say that Janelle Monáe is the closest thing to Prince that I have experienced in my lifetime. So if you disagree, obviously I'm here for a healthy debate. Keep it clean, keep it respectful, but leave some comments below if you think there's been a different artist who might. I'm just saying in terms of listen to the album, listen to the guitars on this, listen to who she's collaborated with, think about how she is a sex icon, how she is, blurring the lines on, what, you used to say I look too mannish, she says on her album. It's like what is it to be a woman or a man? And just in terms of loving people for people, and kind of same thing with Prince, right? So in terms of for all those reasons, and just the vocal chops, I think I would say that connection for me feels like maybe what the previous generation had with Prince. So if you had that connection with Prince, you can obviously leave comments below. Let me know what that was like, having someone kind of being, this show's called Counterculture. Again, Prince was pushing back on some boundaries, and I think artists were doing that a lot, and I think Janelle Monáe epitomizes that. And anyway, I'll get into the album. This one, I was surprised. The only well-known track was I Like That. And so, yeah, I think I put 4 sleepers on here because it needed that much love. But we have Crazy Classic Life. I want that crazy classic life. I mean, I'm telling you, go check out this album. Screwed is a track featuring Zoe Kravitz. Super cool track. Again, the guitar parts, you'll start to hear that Prince era influence. A really cool track, especially Make Me. That's just the way you make me feel. If you haven't heard that track, it wasn't listed as a well-known track, so I don't know if that qualifies as a sleeper, but that's the most Prince-like song. So Make Me Feel, go check that out, Janelle Monáe. And then the last sleeper I have here is I Got the Juice, and super fun dance song. Yeah, it's just got good vibes. So check those out. As far as the my favorite from this record, it's Pink, and I love that track so much that I paid homage on my own record. Blush was a track I released on an album this week last year. I released that in 2020, the week of the shutdown. So if you didn't hear about it, it's still out there. There is a live from my apartment version on YouTube. So you could search Jared Mitchell and the Wingtips, Blush, and you'll see this album actually featured in that video. And I have a line in it, I'll sing you some Monet pink, like your sparkling rose round two. So obviously I got a lot of love for this record, her as an artist, and yeah, Blush is a really cool track. It kind of got like a Silk Sonic vibe. So if you like Silk Sonic, you might like that track, and which is just a great segue because I have this other record right here, Malibu by Anderson .Paak, and yeah, he's half of Silk Sonic. So if you didn't know that, it's Bruno Mars, Anderson .Paak. But this album, I also got it was one of my first albums, and kind of going back to my relationship with hip hop here, listening through and remembering the skits in between the tracks and kind of getting a sense of an overall story. I think Malibu paints a very vivid picture from a particular point of view, and he allows you to jump into this perspective, and it's almost like there's a self-aware filter that he has on it, and it's very self-aware. It's a really cool album. If you haven't checked it out, I believe it might not be his first, but it's one of his earlier albums. The ones that were listed, there were a lot listed as the well-known tracks here. So there was Heart Don't Stand a Chance. There was This Season, Carry Me. There was Room in Here and Come Down. And if you're watching on YouTube, I do have some lists helping me out here. Again, we're trying to grow the channel. I'm not perfect yet, but yeah, those are the tracks that I had listed as the well-knowns. As far as the sleepers, I have The Waters, Parking Lot, and Silicon Valley. And Silicon Valley has got a cool message, but yeah, it's got one of my favorite expressions in there. This might be, again, being a millennial, so go check out that track. And if you can guess the expression, you can leave it in the comments below. And yeah, as far as my favorite track on that record is actually the intro track, The Bird. And it just has this, I don't know, really smooth. And it's a really nice intro. And yeah, it just sets up the scene so nice. It's got so many harmonies, the chord changes. In terms of setting up a story, if this were a movie, just such an excellent opening sequence. The foreshadowing, everything, it's in there. So go check out The Bird. It's on the album Malibu by Anderson .Paak. And then we'll move on here to our last record. We have Alan Stone, Building Balance. Alan Stone, I first heard through one of my friends in Nashville, Andrew Van Etten, and we were singing at Losers, and yeah, we were singing, you say that you can, but I was unaware, 'cause all you do is push, pull, tear. And he taught me how to play that song, and we were doing the harmonies with the falsetto, and I was hooked on Alan Stone immediately. And then when I found out when I moved to Seattle in 2016 that he was from here, that was really cool. And when he released this vinyl, I went out and bought it from Easy Street Records. Yeah, we'll just get into the review. The well-knowns were Brown Eyed Lover, Consider Me, Sunny Days, and Give You Blue. And as far as the sleepers on the record, I have Sweaters, Miscommunicate, which got like a Stevie Wonder. And we miscommunicate. And it's got like the, I think it's got harmonica on it maybe, or it's just got that Stevie Wonder feel. So Miscommunicate, Slept on Track. And then what was this last one I got here? Taste of You. That's right. So Taste of You, another one of those tracks that I was just kind of listening in the background. I was like, dang, what is this track? I didn't recognize the title. So Taste of You was the last track on that list of sleepers. And as far as my favorite, Brown Eyed Lover, it's the first track on it, and it's just got an amazing riff. I got a brown eyed lover on the other side of town. I don't want to keep her waiting. Just a really fun, groovy track. It's one of the well-knowns for good reason. And anyway, that will conclude my review here of these 4 albums, and we'll move on to the announcements. Thank you for sticking around. If you stuck around this long, this has been a cool episode. I liked doing that, so I think I'm going to improve on this, hopefully move off list in the future. But yeah, let's get to the announcements. So last week's video, I featured So Right, and the owner, Mac, reached out to me, and I think I'm going to do a featured video just on that at some point, so be on the lookout for that, because I did have some people reach out asking me about my stack, my So stack, and I that's going to be a future sponsored video. So that was really cool to kind of just put it out there that I wanted to partner with people and grow the community. And sure enough, episode 1, we had someone reach out. So that was really cool. As far as the guest coming in tomorrow, his name is Zechariah Villette. And you might have heard him play at the Kraken games. You might have seen him playing at the Seahawks games. If you're an artist around the area, you might have worked with him on some tracks. If you're a tourist, you might have seen him at Keys on Main, the Dueling Piano Bar. But he's just a really good friend of mine. We both used to live on Alki for a few years. And yeah, we're just going to share stories. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention about him, he owns a studio in Soto. And so we're going to talk about, this is a small scale. He's got a bigger scale studio, and he's working on some really cool projects. Just a good friend of mine. We're going to chop it up, talk about some tour stories, funny things that happen in the studio. And yeah, just tune in, stay tuned. Thanks, y'all. We'll see you next week.